Caleb Plant may be a well-established name in boxing today, but in 2019, he was still fighting for recognition. And that all changed when he stepped in the ring with Venezuela's Jose Uzcategui. With the IBF super middleweight title on the line, this was his chance to prove to the world why they call him Sweet Hands, and establish himself as one of the top fighters, not only in the division, but in the sport of boxing. Looking back at that time, Jose Uzcategui was maybe seen as the boogeyman of the division, and nobody wanted anything to do with him. Nobody except Caleb Plant.
My fight with Jose is coming up in a couple weeks, and he's the IBF world champ. Portrays him as a scary guy, as a boogeyman, someone who, no one wants to fight him. I don't see anybody raising their hand to fight Jose. I don't see anyone, stepping up to say, hey, I'll fight him, I can take his belt. So let me do it, I'll raise my hand.
After former IBF champion James DeGale vacated his title, it was Uzcategui who would be elevated to full champion, with Plant as the mandatory. Unfortunately, Plant suffered a broken left hand in training camp in the lead up to it, which required surgery and a long layoff to recovery. 11 months, the longest Plant had been out the ring. In that time, Uzcategui had a convincing win over Moderna in a non-title bout. However, Plant, after the long layoff, would finally get his shot. Not to mention, he was a huge underdog for this fight, whereas Uzcategui was very much the favourite to defend his title by most pundits. This was very much a tale of two contrasting styles. Plant with his slick defensive abilities and sharp counterpunching, whereas Uzcategui on the other hand was a relentless pressure fighter with heavy hands. But Plant wasn't undefeated going into this, despite the lingering questions around his injury and if he could beat an experienced champion. And with all these odds being stacked against Caleb Plant, there was one thing always pushing him forward: his promise to his late daughter, Aaliyah, who sadly passed away after 19 months. The promise was to become world champion, and with that in mind, he felt nothing could stop him that night.
I've been homeless, I've slept on the floor, I've been hungry, I've been cold, I've buried my daughter. And the thing that was keeping me going through all of that was just closing my eyes and envisioning them announcing "and the new." I made a promise to my daughter. I promised her I'd be a world champion. I told her not only that I would win it, but of course I would bring it to her. I plan on keeping that promise.
He's ready to go. We'll be working under the unified rules. Scheduled for 12, and a championship is on the line. Let's check in with Heidi Androff.
Thank you very much, Chris. I was backstage watching these two just before they made their ring walk, and Caleb Plant was pounding the bags as opposed to Uzcategui, who was very calm and loose. So not sure exactly what that means, Ray.
The opposite styles were very noticeable right from the first round. Uzcategui constantly coming forward, setting the pace and pressure, but Plant remained calm and calculated and controlled him with the jab.
Control, you could see it. He's determined to control. Caleb Plant, he's all wired up, man. This is it. I like it.
Little jab, little left.
He would use the jab as a means of constantly measuring and gauging the distance between himself and Jose. He was almost using it as a shield to pin Uzcategui in his place and stop him from getting in the inside.
Uzcategui coming forward. He's the bigger puncher. He's the bigger puncher.
And Plant sees it.
One of the key things Plant was doing in this fight was throwing a diverse range of jabs, using level changes as he threw at different targets, specifically the body jab. Oftentimes he would bring himself into a position that made it look like he was going to aim for the body, but then go for the head. He does a great job in doing this as he brings his head real low and then ends up throwing the jab upward. And this constant mix-up of where he was throwing the jab totally messed with Uzcategui's rhythm early on.
They address that cut of Plant in between rounds. And on the defensive.
Caleb Plant is fighting on not only emotion, adrenaline, motivation, all that stuff.
Some hip movement and the jabs. 33 landed by our count.
Jose though would catch on to this by throwing the occasional counter right hand or left hook. However, the variation of Plant's jab kept him on his toes. It's no wonder so many compare him to the likes of Floyd Mayweather or Roy Jones Jr., who used these techniques to set up their opponents later down the line. particular combo that landed on Uzcategui in the fight was the left hook to a straight punch. The left hook was merely used as a means to get Uzcategui off guard, and then it was the straight right hand that would do the real damage.
Look, right, this is not a big ring, and right now,
Here, as you see, Jose's more defensive to start here. Plant,
I like what I see so far.
you like his point. Plant having the edge. And let's check in with it. It's out of 15 seconds.
However, the first big moment in these early stages of the fight came in the second round, as Plant put Uzcategui on the canvas.
This is the problem.
This was a beautiful double hook he so often likes to throw. Plant initially gets into the position by throwing a hard up jab, landing on Uzcategui. From here, he actually makes Jose think he's going to initiate the clinch. Instead, he uses his momentum to guide him around to the center of the ring, almost like a matador guiding a bull. Uzcategui was not expecting this at all, getting caught out by an immediate double jab by Plant. And with hardly any time to react, Caleb throws a right hook to the body followed by a left hook, creating that opening for the follow-up left hook upstairs. Simply a beautiful sequence of ring IQ and athleticism with his quick hands. He'd actually already tried to set this up in the previous round.
Jab. Connect. Couple of jabs that didn't connect from Jose.
Good body shot. Good body work by Caleb Plant.
Plant once again in the fourth would land the same combination, but even cleaner.
Now he's starting to rough him up a little bit. That's what he's got to do. He's got to rough up Caleb Plant to win the fight.
And he hurt him with that left hook. He hurt him with that left hook.
Despite trying to laugh it off, one could tell Uzcategui was clearly dazed as he slowly tried to get back up.
Really hurt him.
Right here. Boom. Digging downstairs. Double on top. Boom. Right there.
And both
Drop
of
his
them hit
hand.
each other. Both of them hit each other, and Caleb's was more effective.
Coming off that rope, but I tell you, because boom, a good body shot. He's got to keep his hands up. I'll tell you, that was a hell of a shot. That was a hell of a shot. But
It started with the body shot. He took his focus to the body.
After the third, there was also a bit of urgency, as Plant would suffer a cut outside his right eye, knowing he had to keep pushing the pace.
There it is. He's poking at it.
Yeah, and that's a cut that'll bother you. It's over the right eye, and it's right in the eye sight, so that blood can definitely trickle in there.
As we got into the middle rounds, Plant continued to showcase his skills, still steadily controlling Uzcategui with the up jab, especially from that lower position, and even countering with the jab at times.
Adrenaline,
33 landed by our count. So far.
We'd also start to see him start to really utilise his footwork and make the most out of the ring, so he would not be a stationary target for the Venezuelan or let him get set in his punches. Plant's footwork was also on high display this night, as when he was backed up, he would make sure to circle out of the corners, making sure to never stay in one area in the ring for too long. He also liked to do this cross step in between his legs to confuse Uzcategui about which way he was going, and he couldn't seem to figure it out.
Jose, he's got to try to cut off the ring and use that jab. If he does use that jab, I'm going to say it over and over, he hasn't used that jab, but he looks sluggish coming forward, and Caleb Plant is moving around him and doing what he wants. That's the first jab, and I'm a big advocate of ring generalship. Look, the old saying, if one guy, it's like one guy's controlling the center ring, he's controlling the pace of the fight, and that's what Caleb Plant is doing since the jump. He's controlling the pace, hitting the other guy more, hitting the other guy more. But if he wasn't in there tonight, I'm not sure we got such an exciting fight.
Not this thing.
However, despite being on the back foot most of the time, the momentum still didn't shift to Uzcategui, because Caleb was also throwing in combinations, constantly hitting and moving again and again. Nevertheless though, the Venezuelan started stepping on the gas pedal.
In condition and just ready to go to full fight.
He's in condition, he is in shape, Anthony, there's no dispute. But I think the pace, that's what we're talking about. I don't know if he's been at this type of pace, usually, if ever. Because right now he's pushing hard.
Round 7.
But Plant's superior head movement would leave him hitting but thin air.
He throws a punch and he backs straight up. Blind man can...
Keeping his hands low to bait Uzcategui into throwing punches, it would actually make him cautious, and the constant motion of it would leave Uzcategui frustrated because he was not finding any solid target to land on. Plant would rarely keep his head as the centre line. Even whilst he was attacking, he would remain defensively responsible, immediately making sure to get out of the lane of danger if he threw any type of punch that missed the target. An example of this is how Plant would like to end his combos by weaving his head down low, which makes it harder for even Uzcategui to land anything of significant value. The stance would also help him pull off these types of movements. Because it's quite wide and bladed, it allowed him to make full use of his waist and legs to move his upper body. The key to his defensive success was also how relaxed he was, moving smoothly with little to no effort at times. Not to mention, he was using subtle feints, just to keep the Venezuelan that little bit hesitant, but I like how he doesn't over-exaggerate them, as there were some Uzcategui would sometimes jump on, allowing Plant to counter behind it.
You get hit with a big punch again like he did before.
Yeah, maybe he has found out what Plant can do.
Center with him, don't make it a dogfight. You know, that's what that... Oh!
Like so many pressure fighters, sometimes it's the later rounds where they get the advantage, and the constant strategy of Plant moving around the ring slowly started to diminish to become a battle of attrition. This is where we got to see some of his clinch and inside fighting, another aspect of Plant's style that maybe doesn't get talked about enough. In fact, the entirety of the 9th round was really being fought in the inside position. Plant would utilise his Philly shell catching and countering, using head movement and using combination punching from the phone booth position.
When he's throwing punch, let his hands go. There you go, like that. Look at that.
Working inside is Caleb Plant.
Put on a clinic.
A left that lands again. The left has been working all night for him.
And it starts with the body. Look at how Jose is bent over now.
On Uzcategui.
Oh! The Caleb's over center. Challenge him, you know. Take punch him. Go hit him with a good shot.
No punch after that.
Looked like the right landed.
He got it.
Plant better defend himself. He's down.
Is he there?
Punches being thrown. There's a right to the back part of the head. Up Plant underneath him like Jose landed one. He misses it a lot. A little exchange here. Shoving Plant backward, and that's the end. The left for Plant. And here,
He came back strong.
Jose answers.
Not only that, but he would also constantly try to move in angles and circle the opponent's back in towards the ropes, while his back would be faced towards the centre of the ring. Overall, this puts him in a much more dominant position, while also giving him the space to back away. There was one shaky moment for Plant, as Uzcategui had one rally to victory, catching Plant with a clean hook that really wobbled him. However, Plant's superior head movement would not allow Jose to capitalise on that moment, and in these later rounds, you couldn't help but feel that Uzcategui might just get to him, as he'd used so much energy in those early rounds to box from the outside consistently. Uzcategui was simply on the hunt, as he was clearly behind in the scorecards, and Plant knew he was ahead, holding on for victory.
Second win, but he looks a little winded. He don't have a couple
Yeah,
minutes.
visually, I don't know how much you could tell the body, the discoloration of some of the body shots landing on Plant, but his upper body, even the back, a redness has come in from some of the shots that have landed as the blood drips down his face. The champion is going to have to take charge of this, and he's doing it. Head to head, shoulder to shoulder, going glove to glove. A miss by Jose underneath an uppercut. Plant with an answer here. A direct shot with that left.
Right there himself.
Body shot. Left side of the body delivered by Jose. And the boxer Caleb Plant. The advantage inside of 2 minutes. He'll take this all day for the next 5 minutes. And take that title. Oh, a couple of short jabs.
And by punching and grabbing, he feels he's so far ahead. He feels he's about to fight one. But you want to close the show. In the judge's eye, you expect to see that he's going to close the show.
Definitely, because it's always up to the judges, especially if it goes to decision.
Jose Uzcategui. Inside 30 seconds.
Jose got 20 seconds to knock him out.
And the crowd hollering for Jose to throw that one punch. and arms in the air as if he already has it. Caleb Plant, the challenger, in position to take away the IBF World Super Middleweight title.
And the new IBF Super Middleweight Champion of the world, Caleb Sweetheads Plant.
He'd done it. He'd done it for his daughter. He had made his promise to become world champion.
There's a pretty red belt that you get to hold on to. You told us when you heard "and the new" it was going to be overwhelming. Explain what you're feeling right now.
Man, I've worked my whole entire life for this, 17 years straight. I buried my daughter in the process of trying to get this belt. I promised her that I'd become a world champion and that I'd bring her this title. And that's exactly what I'm going to go back to Tennessee and do. Nashville, stand up!
This victory would mark the new chapter for Plant's career and finally place him as one of boxing's must-watch stars. Not to mention all those years of hard work in the gym, grinding and waiting for his opportunity would not only lead him to get this world championship, but financial freedom as he would get even bigger fights, including his undisputed showdown with Canelo Alvarez and his brave performance versus Dave Benavidez. But despite losing both those fights, Plant still remains a heavy favourite among boxing fans because of his very smooth and slick style, which is so beautiful to watch at times. However, it will always be this victory that will stand the test of time for him, proving that boxing in the way of the sweet science is the way to go. This has been Jamie for Boxing Life. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this fight. If you want more classic fight breakdowns, why not check out one of these two videos? As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.